Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. I have a very special guest, Karo.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be back.
Cool. Back with the K method.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah. Today I'm in the hot seat again, and it's all about the vulnerability of a black male and like my experiences with that, and kind of how now I've had to grow and evolve, and actually start processing the way I'm feeling and realizing that it's okay to feel and to be vulnerable, and that's actually a strength, not a weakness.
exactly. 100%. So, I'm going to be looking on the left because I prepared a couple of questions for you. So I want to read them. I want to make sure that I have them correct. But well, let's start, right? Let's just start.
Let's rock and roll.
Alrighty. So first question, yeah. When did you realize that being vulnerable was seen as a sign of weakness? Because you mentioned it.
Yeah, definitely as a kid. It definitely stemmed all from my childhood. Growing up in a West Indian household, with alpha males, especially younger brother, older brother, and father, never showed instances of crying. If I wanted to cry when I was hurt or whatever, I was told to be strong, suck it up type thing, and get on with it. It wasn't seen as, oh, that's okay and that's accepted. It's like, no, be strong. What are you crying for? No matter how painful certain things were, you had to suck that up. That wasn't the way to be. That wasn't how a young black boy, wanting to be a black man to grow up. You have to be strong and have those things about you, strength of character, and you can't show signs of weakness because it was seen as people would take advantage of you if you did so.
So basically, weakness has been seen as vulnerability has been seen as weakness. And so, because we know it is not right now, but back in the day, those were the patterns, those were the beliefs that you had installed through the experiences that you had. So why do you think being vulnerable is seen as weakness then?
It's a lot of those emotions of crying and being fearful shows you're not strong. So when men,
Mhm.
so it comes with the black man as well as men in general, but black men, you're meant to be even stronger and seen as being tougher. That this goes back to history or whatever, what we went through, my ancestry and stuff, slavery. You're meant to look what we survived. You're meant to have this toughness, this resilience, this strength of character. So that sign of crying and vulnerability looks like it's going against what we were all taught. My parents and previous, keep on going back for the ancestry. That was the way you had to be. It wasn't showing that. Being crying and being vulnerable and is all seen as a bit of weakness because you're not it showed to them. It was you're not dealing and coping. You're falling apart. you're
Wow.
you don't have the strength to get through it, rather than actually this is a part of the process, and it doesn't mean you can't get through it. If you cry, it's just something you have to process at that time. So it's
Is it?
kind of seen as you're falling apart type thing, so that's why it's weakness to them.
Mhm.
It's yeah, go on.
So crying really is, as we know, is a sign of release of
Mm,
something that is inside, right? Because that's how our body is created. We have those mechanisms to help us get rid of toxins, and also thought processes like toxic is release is a release is a toxic thoughts, toxins is in your body as of chemical toxins as well. We sweat is a form of release. Tears, and my heart goes all to all men, not black as well, but to all men, because I feel like there is a big, I don't know if you've seen this movie called The Mask We Live In.
no.
It's been some time ago since this movie has been shown. I think it's still on Netflix, and he's exactly talking about that, how young men, young kids, young boys are being taught, um, those beliefs that are ridiculous. You know, grow up, be a man, don't be a poo, you know, don't be this and that. You stop crying like a baby. Are you wearing a skirt? As of, you know, that relates to the weak link. So my next question is will be actually about that, the vulnerability and you know, the crying, the signs and all that. I'm curious, did you ever see any black males around you display any signs of vulnerability
No.
lately, or wow.
Recently, yes. When I was a child, no, I didn't see that at all. So it was seen as it was completely alien, abnormal if that happened. So I didn't question that when I was being told that, because obviously it's appearance, and I didn't see examples of it. So it was the
Mhm.
strangest thing. Um, if I saw it in movies or something like that, because I saw it as not natural, and why is this person crying? And the interesting thing about this all was I was a sensitive soul. I wasn't as tough as as the best word I could come to right now. As a young child, I was quite sensitive. I was quite emotional. So I struggled with all of this, is trying to hold it back because it wasn't natural to me. And I'm sure it's not natural to most people, but I wasn't that tougher. My older brother and younger brother and dad were like fighters and these real alpha males. And when they were angry, they would lash out and stuff, where I wasn't like that. I didn't get that. So I was pretending a lot to try and fit in and follow the herd, and so I wouldn't be the outcast and be left out, because it was seen as a negative, those emotions. So I would have to toe the line. So I was trying to be something for so long that I wasn't, just to fit in.
Mhm.
So that was definitely within my childhood. And then school as well. I went to a really rough school in West London.
Mhm.
So trying to fit in there as well, I had to pretend a lot as well. That was tough, and I wasn't at all. So and again, within my year group and older, I do all these tough black young boys who are, who express themselves with their fists. So it was trying to fit in. So it was a whole pretense, and college as well, the same thing. So I was fitting in, trying to be this tough guy that I wasn't. I was this emotional person who couldn't really, you know, wasn't allowed to, in these environments, connect with, how I feel and process how I feel, because naturally I was like that. So I was going against that grain. So I didn't see examples of vulnerability as a child, and even through college and stuff like that. So I'd say, definitely into my early 30s, then I start seeing men being vulnerable around me, and oh, it's okay to cry. And I was like, really? It's
Oh
okay
wow.
to cry? I didn't think we were allowed to, as being men. I thought we had to suck all this stuff up and just deal with it and get on. So, it's recent years, very recent. Through my childhood and teens and 20s, never. I was told to suck it up, and you're soft if you cry, and you're weak, or you're less of a man, and all this stuff. So you just
Yeah.
you just
I
pretend.
think the problem isn't about you know, softness. It is about that softness is being seen, this emotional, sensitive human, basically, is being seen as weak, as not man enough. I think those associations that are being given to the meaning of words, that we give to words, I feel like it's changing right now, as you probably also would agree. But it's just interesting how the meaning of the words that we give, the meaning that we give to the word, can change the entire experience of life. Yeah. So when you were growing up, how did you see other black male showing their emotions then? Because you said they were, you know, they were showing with fists, they were trusting the fist, they're screaming, and you know, they're yelling, they were angry and all that when they wanted to express their manhood. Probably also like silence,
Yeah.
not saying much when
Suffering,
necessary.
suffering, silence, and the emotion that was expressed was anger. And it all makes sense now when you think back to it. If you're suppressing these feelings, what's gonna come out. Anger's gonna be a result of this when you're holding all these emotions and that lack of emotional intelligence to think, oh yeah, actually, let me process this and actually it's okay. No, I have to always keep up this male bravado of, this macho alpha male that, no matter what happens to me, it's going to be water off a duck's back. It's never going to affect me. Like
Mhm.
you have a heart or something. You don't feel like you don't feel things. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's through anger. A lot of all the influences around me, males, black males, my dad, was all anger. It was always
So
anger,
angry.
always anger.
Wow.
It was always like lashing out at something, about something. He was very pent up. You can see it. And
This is really dangerous, because if you think of it, what is seeing those reactions as black male equals angry, what it did, people believe that black man equals angry, but it's not the black man or anything. A human means a person who is able to express anything they want in the time that they feel. And anger is one of those emotions that actually is a subset of fear, which is really interesting. So if you think about it, all those men who act angry, act angry, most of them act out of fear,
yeah,
some sort of protection mechanism, right? Because that's a reaction to something. Is a subset of fear. Is even is proven in a psychology, in the studies of the brain, and that's how it works. So knowing that, we can actually change the perspective of how we see emotions, and what sort of emotions men should express, because anger means weakness. That actually means weakness. That actually means I'm afraid that something's going to happen. Therefore, I need to, my body gets into the process of survive, survive, survive. And then it starts to, saying like a cat, hissing, don't come near me. I bite.
yeah,
Don't kill me.
yeah.
And that comes out of fear. Those reactions are out of fear, which is really interesting if you think of it, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's the opposite, isn't it? Of how
Absolutely.
what we
Yeah.
is the way to, as men, as strong women as well, have the same. And then that's the subject for another time.
Yeah.
It's-
So, how do you think all of that has impacted your relationships with your family and friends?
Initially, I mean, to be honest, I see it as this. When I was young, it was survival. Yeah, I did what I had to do to survive and fit in.
Yeah.
So the relationships were fine. Yeah, because that whole thing of people expect you to be a certain way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
when you and and when you're towing the line, it's okay. So you kind of just get on, and people accept you for that because you're a part of their group, their clique, the herd, tribe, no matter what you want to call it. So those relationships are fine. So it looked like it was okay, but then to myself in alone time, I was hurting and thinking, look, I have to keep on pretending and being like these people, dress in a particular way, acting a certain way, dating particular women that look a certain way, eat certain foods, whatever it is, listen to certain music. So it's all about fitting in. So those
Mhm.
relationships were okay, but I'm hurting inside. It's eating away at me because I'm acting. I'm an actor, yeah, throughout my
Mhm.
childhood, whatever. So the relationships were okay, yeah. The relationships change when I start becoming more the emotional intelligence starts to grow and I develop that. And I realize that emotions is fine to process them and deal with them, and that's a part of me and who I am. So that changes dynamics. That changes
Mhm.
dynamics within your family because you're challenging things. You're challenging how they approach things, and you're questioning that. This is when the problems start. So when you
Oh,
fit in and being a person people think you should be, as fitting into stereotypes and what have you, you're fine. You're just going through life because, oh
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
he's just another black man, a young black man, doing what he has to do. Yeah, he's pretty similar. He's no different to the rest of them. They put you in a box. So when you're the difference, which I love now, I love that. I love the fact that I'm me and I'm like, you know what, this is me, accept me for who I am, and I don't give a shit if you stop, you unfriend me, you stop texting me, or you stop calling, whatever the nonsense is, and
Mhm.
disconnect. I don't really care, because it's like, accept me for who I am. If you don't, then you're not worth my time. So then
Yeah.
that you feel, you're going against the grain. So this is the challenges now in your family, relationships, stuff like that, because you're just being you. So you're not being what people expect you to be. So this is
Mhm.
how the clashes with family, which is good though. I quite like it, because it's a different dynamic. Because I'm a man now, if I challenge my mum or something, it's a very different. I'm coming from a different angle now. I'm not just your son. I'm actually a
Yeah.
grown man saying this to you. So
Yeah.
it's more of than, it hurts them, but then they'll be like, you know what, I have to kind of listen, because he is a man. He's got, he's married. He's got his own property and stuff. He's independent. You see what I mean? So it's different dynamics. And I can see with siblings sometimes it's difficult, because they're meant to be older brothers, older sisters, and you have your own opinion, and you're challenging them that way. But I
Yeah.
see it's kind of helping people. If people struggle in general with their emotions and stuff, I try and just try and guide them and give them support and say it's okay, process it, it's all right. If you need time to
Mhm.
cry over that, or whatever it is, or process, you had a heartbreak, you need time not to go out and see people, it's fine. Do that, do what you have to do to go over it, to get over it, but you need to process it and accept it for what it is. So that's all
Mhm.
the dynamics, and I like that though. I quite love it. I quite love the challenge now of having to have these debates with people and say, actually, you want me to do that, but I'm not. I'll listen to it, and take heed of what you're saying. I'm gonna put it to the back of my mind, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna affect how I feel and the way I want to approach things. I'll listen to advice, always do,
Yeah.
whether I think it's coming from an ignorant place or not.
And what about your male friends? Because I imagine that there's some group of male friends that you still have from back in the day, and then so obviously they have seen the growth, they have seen the changes, and as we know, we all change, right? The seasons of your life, let's say in this way. How are they? How is the relationship with them,
That's
with your
quite
black man?
brought that up, because recently I've been thinking about this completely. I'm thinking on one hand, who are actually real friends?
Hmm.
When I talk about male friends, women is a lot easier. With the females are known for a very long time because they're emotional generally.
Thanks.
I can't say every woman I know is like that. Some women are like men who don't want to express their emotions. So, to put that blanket over women as a whole. But with the women, it's fine. With the men, it's the problem where I noticed that some of them don't want to have the conversation. They go
so
silent.
what do they, so what do they say? Yeah, exactly. They go silent. And so what's
This is how I'm feeling. And then it goes falls on deaf ears, because they're like, I can't really talk with him about that. And so these people, at the moment, I'm going through this thing in my mind where I don't think certain people are worth your time. I'm going through that, even unfollowing people and all sorts of stuff I'm doing at the moment, because I'm just like, it's wasted energy.
and so as in a law of nature, when one thing disappears, the other appears, making space for new, and all that. When you unfollow people, because it's quite drastic, right? But as I said, there are some seasons in life. And have you found people, have you found new friends, have you found people, and your ecosystem where you can freely speak about those things, even with your male friends?
There's very few male friends. Hence why, if you look at all my episodes, it's mainly women.
I
There's a
was thinking that.
there's a bit, it's a bit annoying, because I lost some. There's a few episodes that were with men that I've lost due to my bloody iCloud space and stuff, and then it
Oh
ended
no.
up losing the footage. So it was like 7 episodes I've lost. But but still, compared to how many women, I've got like 36 videos. So that tells you something, that men I've approached, it's not like I haven't spoke to these guys. They don't want to come on video and talk about these issues. They don't. Women are a lot more free with saying, oh yeah, Mike, you know what, I'll come and talk about this problem, or I'll come and talk about this, I'll do the video. With men, they see it as, you know, I'm exposing myself, I'm putting myself out there. So in regards to men in my circle and new people coming into my life, it's been women. Very few men. I could probably count them on like 3 fingers. That the new men that I've established, all the people I've unfollowed, the new men that have come into my life and said, you know what, yeah, when you're ready, I can talk about these things and be open to them. It's still a massive problem where, you know, society and the expectation of men, black men, you know, not just about your color, it's just men in general, you know, are expected to be a certain way. And, you know, that weighs down. It's a weight to carry around with you. You know, it's that baggage that I keep on saying that we carry around with us from one experience to the next, and the weight of that is very heavy.
Exactly. Exactly, and you just said something very important. You carry it from one generation to next, and we know better, right?
Mm,
We know better. We have access to so much information. Back in the day when we didn't have computer, and yes, there was a time when we didn't have computers and internet, guys. We are
yeah,
of those sorts, okay? For
that,
everyone who's listening,
I remember that.
and
Old.
right. Um, so we know better now. We have access to so much information, and yes, media is discoloring it and all that, and but there's a big push towards mental health amongst men. I do feel like there is not much push of mental health specifically amongst black men. So here's a black example of a leader man who has all this figured out, or at least so it seems, in a good way. Can you, if you were to say right now to anyone who's listening, and I'm sure that there are male friends who are listening to us, maybe they are not showing up in comments yet, but you know how it is. Those things come with time. And if you are listening to us and you would like to leave a comment, please do, because this helps us to understand what other topics we would like to hear about, if we are doing a great job. And yeah, also don't forget to rate us, because that helps us, our visibility. And if you think this message is important and more people need to hear about it, also share. So coming back to a topic, Mike. So we know better. So what would be right now, if you were to give an example and a message, an appeal to black men right now in 2021, what would be your message?
Black men and men in general, find
Yeah.
someone you can talk to and express how you feel. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. You need to come in touch with your emotions, because when that anger festers, it comes out in other ways. And what that ends up doing is stopping us from achieving, going forwards, growing, developing as people. So it's important to come be in touch with your emotions and express them. Now, you may not be able to express them to everyone, but have someone that you can confide in to talk to about how you're feeling and express those emotions. Yeah, it's important you get in touch with that and process your feelings. For me, I kept them pent up for a very long time, and it came out in other ways, and
Mhm.
in panic attacks and anxiety and depression. So it doesn't help us keeping it inside.
Yeah, 100%. And there were a few other questions that I wanted to ask you, but we are free flowing right now. And I'm thinking now, what will be the most useful for the people who listens to us? Because you mentioned, keeping the negative emotions within us. Also positive, because that's a good, people, when you love someone, sometimes men don't say it as well. It's not only about negative, but if you keep emotions within you, they're going to come out in some other ways, as you said. In your case, it was anxiety attacks and depression. And I remember that time. It was a heavy time for you. And so let's look at it from a perspective of what can be done, uh, and give us an example of how of a successful expressing of emotions in a safe way for those who start, for those who do not want to go to people yet speaking about it. Are there any ways that you have done it, in a way? Yeah. Well, how do you do it? How do you express those feelings? What are any tools, maybe any exercises?
Yeah, definitely tools. I was thinking of, that's what came to mind first of all. Yoga's great. I know, mate, some men may look at that and think it's for women, but it's not. It's for everyone. Yoga's great for me. That helps me unwind. It helped my anxiety, definitely. Meditation's great. Um, and taking care of yourself, self-love, getting to bed at a decent time, decent sleep, eating healthy. It's all a part of the process, you know. Your body's a temple, you know. Look after that. Look after how you're feeling, you know, mentally, physically, and spiritually, you know, and it all connects. It's all a part of one. These things all help. They all help to me. When I was going through tough times, you know, connecting that, giving yourself a routine, keeping yourself busy, having actions and goals, and don't beat yourself up about these actions if you don't achieve them. But if you can tick off 1, 2, or 3 a day, you know, make them all realistic goals as well, so it doesn't have that effect where it's making you feel worse. You know, just setting your day up right, starting it off positive, do things that make you feel happy. I've run,
Mhm.
playing and dancing to music, whatever you need, whether it's Bob Marley, whatever lifts you up and is uplifting, and uplift others. Another thing that helps me is when I, you know, gas up my friends and let them know that whatever they're doing, I'm loving what they're doing, and feeling good about, you know, what, you know, people bettering themselves and supporting others. That's great. That makes me feel good anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, things like that. You know, I know it's tough now because of the whole pandemic. I know it's been loosened up, the restrictions and stuff like that. When we can get to that point where we're actually hugging people and doing that again, that's great for you. A nice big hug.
Did you know that hugging for 20 minutes releases this this happy hormone? So you have to like 20 minutes, 20 seconds,
Mhm.
hugging for 20 seconds. So when you meet someone and you greet them, stay this a little bit longer hugging them, because that releases this hormone of happiness that we all need right now. Micah, I have another question for you. But before I'm going to get there, I wanted to say that one of the things that helps the clients that I work with, and obviously it is all about mindsets as well, and release, and working with the emotions and identity work and all that, is journaling. And
Mm.
again, this is one of the words that is being seen as a woo-woo word, and it's just for ladies and all that, as if it was negative that is for ladies. I mean, ladies do tend to express their feelings. Maybe it has been created by a lady, that's why it's for ladies. I don't know what it actually means, what sort of connotation people have thinking about it. But journaling is a fantastic work, because the moment you release your thoughts and your emotions from your brain, something really magical happens. All of the things that you were unsure about and you didn't see clearly, or your goals. Sometimes we don't, the feeling of being stuck, feeling of being lost. Suddenly you find it. You find yourself, because all the entanglement that was happening in the brain is being released, is being put on a paper, for the sake of putting it. It's not for the sake of someone reading it, or anything like that. Nobody's supposed to be reading it. Is for yourself. But just this systematic releasing of what's inside of your thoughts, of your brain, helps normalize, the day-to-day experience in many cases. Mike, I have one question, one more, biggest question. Well, biggest, not biggest, but it's quite long. So, do you think, as a black man, um, as a whole, need to start to evolve emotionally and stop buying into those things that society expects you to be? Meaning, being stronger, womanizers, good dancers, great lovers, the most trendy, aggressive, and loud, all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I touched on that earlier, and I think that's we don't want to feel like outcasts. We don't want to feel like we don't fit in. We all want to fit in as people, don't we? We want to be accepted. We want to be a part of something. We don't want to be left out. And this all comes with society, social media, even communities, even within our own community. You don't want to be, if as a child you've been told you need to be a particular way, you're going to follow with that because your peer is coming from people you trust. Your peer,
Mhm,
you're not seeing any examples of any difference. That's why, within the Black community, we struggle if someone's gay or they have mental health issues, or because it's not seen as the norm, even though it is a normal thing.
mhm,
Because within the community, it's not accepted, and we all want to feel accepted. We don't want to feel as outcasts, and you feel powerless as being an outcast and not being accepted. You feel
mhm,
alone. No one wants to be alone. So it's a
mhm.
tough thing to ask, but it comes with maturity, yeah. It comes with life experience. It comes with, developing emotional intelligence, which will come. You'll become your own person. When you have that age, that independence, it will happen. But I think it's important to be you and not be caught up in what society expects you to be, your
Yeah,
community expects you to be, your parents expects you to be. You need to be yourself. You're an individual. Yes, you may be of a particular skin tone, look a particular way, but you're you. That's your superpower. So uh, embrace that. Feelings are normal. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, as we said. Anger's a sign of fear. So would think about that logic there. We should be focusing on feeling and not, you know, um, basically bottling up all these emotions until it gets to a point where the bottle bursts. It
yeah,
bursts open into whatever that you can amount to all sorts of things. Dealing and not
yeah.
emotions for a very long time. It can make us passive aggressive,
Mhm,
violent.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
end up getting us in trouble, or the type of person that doesn't want to hurt others, and you end up hurting yourself. So
Mhm.
it's very important, you be you, and that's a message from this when we talk about stereotypes, and I quite like surprising people when they expect me to be something and I'm not. I quite like that. That's a thing
Yeah.
I enjoy, and I'm like, oh well, you've learned something today. In my head, I'm thinking that when I'm maybe in an interview or something of
Yes.
a totally white panel when they're interviewing me and they don't really expect much,
Yeah.
and you can feel that vibe. I'm not saying they're all like that, but I've been in
Yeah.
situations where I can feel the vibe of people, their energy.
Yeah.
You know what? He's not really, we just had to. We didn't really look into
Because we need to tick the box kind of thing.
it, go.
Mhm.
And you get
Yeah.
there and you're more than you can see the surprise on their face. Oh, wow, he does know stuff. Oh,
Oh,
he's
that's
black,
weak.
he has experience, and he actually knows how to
Surprise!
do his job. And I think it's great because you know what? When you talk about spreading awareness, that's spreading awareness.
Mhm,
These little things you can do to make a difference,
mhm.
to change or educate someone and let them know that, we're all human. We may be different colors, but we're all
Yeah.
human. Don't put us into boxes and expect.
100%. And you know what? You said something about don't be driven by the emotion of anger and look into it, because that's a subset of fear, as we said. And the opposite of fear is gratitude. The opposite of fear is motivation. The opposite of fear is love. And I know Bob Marley really sang about it, and I think so many people like it because it gives that emotion that they would like to live in, but they don't. So by listening to the song, they get into it and feel better as if it is already happening, but it is not. The truth is that until we are not connecting the positive emotion of gratitude, of love, especially love, because this is the highest frequency, with the motivation to connect with other people in a really true, kind of creating the win-win situations,
Mm.
being motivated by helping people, the emotional charge. So how, we know that thoughts create emotions create actions, and actions are the realizations of what we see. So everything that we see has been a thought one day. Some time ago, it has been a thought. It has been an idea in someone's mind. So knowing that it is possible to create a change, create anything you want in life, connecting those positive emotions with enough of brain power and with faith, creates that action that we want. So we were actually speaking about it before we started the podcast. So one very last question, because I think this cannot be missed. Do you remember the first time you cried as a man and really, really let go?
Yeah, it's when my dad died, and
What happened?
it wasn't on the night. He died of a heart attack. And on the night when we went to see him in a hospital after he'd passed away, I didn't. My brothers were crying. Um, my sister wasn't though. Who was with us, and my older sister wasn't. She wasn't. So me and my older sister sucked it up and didn't cry. And I remember the next day is when I did. When I had a moment, I phoned my wife. This was like middle hours of the morning, and so it wasn't my wife at the time, my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And then I called her, and that's when I broke down, because I told her what happened, and that's when the emotions, I couldn't hold it, because I've been holding it all night, and it just let out, and I was just there, and for, I can't remember how long, it felt like an eternity, just crying and connecting with how I felt and how sad, and just having flashbacks to seeing his lifeless body there on a table after he'd passed, and that he wasn't full of life anymore, and he wasn't talking, and he wasn't getting around. That was it. That was over. It's final. And the thing is, I had a few things that were unresolved with him. So it was all of that. There was a bit of anger in there, but mostly sadness that, it really hit me that I no longer have a dad around that's alive and is here, and I can speak to whenever I want and have that. So all these emotions came up, and I remember that was a big time, because there's other things that had happened. Like I'd lost uncles and other people that are close, but I never cried. But this was a time where it really hit me, and I connected with that, and I was just crying with my, as I said, wasn't my wife at the time, and I was just speaking to her, and she was like, "Oh, look," and she said, "Look, yeah, that's fine. Just let it go." And that was great. That's what I needed. I didn't want to feel tough around my family. I just wanted to let it go and cry and lay it out, and
Yeah.
actually get in touch and accept that that's how I was feeling, and it was okay. So yeah, that was
Mhm. Wow. And ever since, everything. So you're almost like a symbol, because dads are the symbols of the first ever men that we knew.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But
Interesting.
that was the time I remember as an adult.
Yeah.
Even I've been through really tough times, but that wasn't that I didn't cry through those times. That was it.
Hmm.
That was the time. That's what, as an adult, I can think that was when it first started, when it passed. That I
Yeah.
started really getting in touch with how I was feeling. Before then I hadn't. And I realized it was okay.
You had permission.
Yeah, I gave myself that permission and
Good
just let
time.
it go and didn't hold it. So I do that now, because it comes up every now and again, those feelings. Father's Day,
Mhm.
birthday,
Yeah.
if I'm having a conversation about him,
Yeah.
uh, and I'm feeling a bit, I'm feeling a bit sensitive, emotional, shall I say, about things in general. That could set me
Yeah.
off. Movie about someone who loses their father or something like that. So
Hmm.
I just let it go. I just embrace it, and I'm just like, look, you know what? I need my moment. I need
Yeah.
to go, because that sadness never really goes. It's always there, but it's just the levels of it.
Hmm. Well, what should I say? I'm sorry. And I'm very proud of you as well as a friend, because we know each other on a friendship level as well. And I know your wife, I know your story, and for everyone who's listening, I hope that you got uh, what you were looking for from this episode, but also more, because this topic is we just scratched the surface. There is so much more to all of that. We're talking about mental health, but also about physical health and this stigma that men shouldn't go and check themselves. And there's a lot of different things that come with all that. And so I hope that you got something from it. If you liked what you heard and you took something from it, please share, please subscribe. I'm sure that Mike will appreciate it, and also it brings up the visibility on YouTube and on podcasts platforms as well. So yeah, I am extremely grateful that you gave me the opportunity to speak to you on a deep level like that, and that you allowed me to get in. And yeah,
You're
we
welcome.
keep on moving. Well done, good job. And yes, this has been a King's Forum.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. As Karo says, please like, subscribe, and share. And see you guys soon. Thank you, Karo. See you later.
See you. Bye.